Bungee Jumping. I'm Steve Amber and I'm certainly gifted with exploration in VOA Special English. Imagine standing at the edge of a tall break, hundreds of meters below you. River water rushes by. You take a deep breath, a jump of the breath, hand first into thin air as a reaction to start excitement and fear. The harmonious adrenaline flows through your body. There is nothing but a long rubber rope attached to your ankles, holding on to your very life. Some people call it crazy, others say it is exciting. Whatever you may think, but bungee jumping has become a popular extreme sport all over the world. Bungee jumping is not a new activity. Men on Pentos Island in the South Pacific have been doing land jumping for hundreds of years. The men tie long finas from plants around their ankles. They spend days building their stones out of vines and logs. Then they jump off these tractors. It takes a great deal of skill to jumping correctly and safely. Land jumping for them is an important cultural activity. According to their belief, the first land diver was a woman. She disguised to run away from her abusive husband, so she climbed up a tall tree and tied some fines around her feet. Her husband crashed after her up the tree. He reached out to grab her, but the woman jumped and the man followed. The fines saved her life, but her husband did. Land diving has become a way in which these island men show their bravery in front of the woman. People of the village sing long songs to show their support for the brave divers. This tradition is also a way for the men to voice their troubles in public. For example, a man can discuss his migraine problems before he jumps. The village, including his wife, must stand and listen. This accepted custom caught in interest of same students of Oxford University in England. In the late 1970s, they formed a group called the Dangerous Sports Club. They like to events, risky and sometimes crazy activities. They were some of the first people to test several of what are now called extreme sports. They are said to have entered modern bungee jumping. In the spring of 1979, members of the group jumping off the Clifton suspension bridge in Bristol, England. They were accessed to the bridge by a bungee cord, a long elastic rope that stretched. They were dressed in black and white clothing and held bottles of camping wine. The press quickly reported on their real activities. The group soon received even more attention when they organizing a bungee jumping of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, California. A man named A.G. Hitchcock of New Zealand later heard about this group. He support into a business. Mr. Hackett worked with his friend Henry Van S, who was an expert at stinky. They started developing bungee ropes and materials secretly at Ancut University helped them. The two men knew that people would find bungee jumping exciting and fun, and they people would pay money for the experience. To show the world about bungee jumping, they held a major jump in 1987 of the famous Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. They later got permission to open the first bungee jumping operation on the Carrow Bridge in Queenstown, New Zealand. Many people paid $75 to jump off the bridge with a bungee cord attached to their ankles. Mr. Hackett worked hard to make sure the public knew how safe his materials were. He developed a method to great safety called the bungee code of practice. Bungee jumping might seem frightening, but is a very safe activity if you go to a well-established bungee jumping company. People who work for bungee jumping operation usually have a great deal of training and experience. They use very strong and carefully made rubber rope. They choose a rope based off the jumper's body weight. This is so they can manage how much the rope stretches when the person falls. The ropes attached through a harness defines teeth around the jumper's ankles often operates as a body harness as well. This is so that you have twins the protection in case or harness breaks. Good bungee operation makes sure all equipment in excellent condition. They should also do several checks to make sure all ropes, harness and teeth are country accident. It is important to remember that this sport is not safe for everyone. People who have high blood pressure or a heart condition should not try jumping. People with back or kind injuries or who suffer from epilepsy should also avoid this sport. And remember, if you do not feel like experiencing it yourself, you can always watch other people jump. Now you have jumped, bounced up and down several times on the rubber rope and are hanging by your ankles in the mind of their eye. You may be wondering what you are supposed to do now. Do not worry, the operation have different choices for getting you back to learn right side up again. Oftentimes, a bungee guide on a rope will attach to your rope and help you back up to the structure you jumped from. One extreme sport company gave a warning on its website. It's warned that bungee jumping might lead to big, smallest, and deep feelings and happiness and excitement. Since it begins in New Zealand, commercial bungee jumping has spread to countries everywhere. One of the highest bungee jumps in the world from a structure is near Locarno, Switzerland, of the Facecam Dam. The drop measured 220 meters. In fact, you can see the characters James Bond jump off this very bright in the 1995 movie Golden Age, ordered in the 216 meter jump from the Blokkeners break in South Africa in the highest single arch break in the world. Of course, not every place has a body of water with a break from which you can jump. Some amusement park offer bungee jumping from Krane Mechhirne in the Atlas Mountain of Peru. You can visit Action Valley outside the city of Cusco. Visitors and jump from a metal box that hikes from cables hikes up in the air. Most of these companies can sell you video recordings of photographs of your jump. This way you can provide to your family back home that you were brave enough to bungee. Now, extreme sports companies are finding ways to make bungee jumping even more frightening. Some offer bungee jumps at night, of jumps where you fall for a structure backwards. There are also bungee jumps from flying helicopters and hot air balloons. You can also try bungee jumping for two. Some companies can harness two people together so you and friend experience twist excitement. A&G company even offers a ski jump off the tallest building in Macau. Just how far would you go to experience the fast rush of bungee first? Hosea Mudzingwa helps run a bungee operation on the Victoria Falls Bridge between Zimbabwe and Zambia in Africa. He has been jumping from this 111 meters drop for many years. From the steel bridge, you can see the giant waters of California Falls, one of the largest waterfalls in the world. Mr. Mudzingwa explains that every human being wants to feel the rush of adrenaline. He says when you bungee jump, you leave all stress and bad thinking behind. He says you come back up with a new mind. But what does a person who is new to bungee jumping thinking about this sport? Tim Roney recently traveled to Victoria Falls. He only had 24 hours to spend in Zimbabwe, but he made sure he found time to jump off this famous bridge towards the powerful Zambezi River. Here is what he had to say about experience. Tim Roney. Hi, I am Tim Roney from Washington, D.C. Jumping off the bridge was one of the most spectacular beauty moments of my life. The idea hadn't really occurred to me until we got to the falls and we saw the view. I decided what better way to get to know this view than to jump into it. I think that the jump had more of the scary impact of my girlfriend, who had to watch the whole thing. To an observer, a bungee jump looked like a terribly violent process, but the actual experience of it is one of floating. You jump and you don't have any sensation of being took for failing and for anything. You just are floating up and down. It is one of the most calm, wonderful I think I have ever done. I recommend everybody do it. This program was written and produced by Dana Dimage. I am Stephen Amber and I'm sorry Gifty. You can read and listen to my program on your website at voaspecialenglish.com. Join us again next week for exploration in VOA Special English.